I'm Timmy the Trash Can, and I love trash. Popcorn boxes, pops, and candy wrappers. They all taste so good. Instead of throwing your trash on the floor, won't you please give it to me? Thank you for considering your fellow patrons.
Thanks, everybody. I don't know what that means. Welcome to the Tim Dillon Show. I'm so fucking exhausted. This is my 4th hour of podcasting today, and let me tell you right now, there's a real drop-off from the first 3, and this one matters the least. But it's late. Don't fucking say anything because it's late. I love Rogan's show. It's so much fun. But it's an hour to get there. It's 3 hours. It's an intense show, and then it's an hour back. Joined by my friend, the host of the Soberish podcast, good friend, love this woman, the great Jessa Reed, host of The Mormon and the Meth Head, featured on This Is Not Happening on Comedy Central, hilarious comedian, tarot card reader. If you want a tarot reading, contact her. If you want to follow her on social media while we all still have it before the government takes it over in 6 months, that's fucking happening. And by the way, Jessa, we're on the same page. Why did we even think they were going to allow this?
I don't know. It felt so free for a minute because it took them so long to figure out how it worked.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Some old white guy, from like South Carolina was like, wait, they're doing what and where? They just removed the podcast I did with Brendan Schaub off YouTube, and we have no fucking idea why. And we're trying to appeal it, and we have YouTube's a total monopoly on how to distribute video content, and there's other than building your own website or going to a much smaller outfit that doesn't work nearly as well with everybody's on YouTube. They got a built-in audience of what, billions of people, Ben, right? So you're off YouTube, you're out of the game, and we have one strike, and if they come for us again, and listen, that podcast I did with Brendan Schaub, I've done some wild podcasts. The one we do with Brendan Schaub was like very innocuous. No one gave a shit. Like nobody. I mean, Schaub has some haters and they were angry and they, why you fucking have mine? I don't know if they did something in the comments. I don't know what happened, but
I have had comments shut down from podcasts I was on, and it was around the time that they said they found out that pedophiles were making plans to meet up in the comment section, which seems like something that might happen in one of your comment sections.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Did you make it through that episode without saying the word pedophile?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we didn't, not Rogan. We went in today on Epstein and everybody. There was a time on Rogan today, which will be out at Friday, where I just went, just show me the plane hitting the Pentagon. We were like 3 hours in. This is why everybody gets nervous around the 3rd hour. I'm like, just show me. Why can't I see it? But don't be mad at me. I'm just a comedian. I'm just being a goof. But they're coming and they're going to fuck us all. And what's the plan? You're a smart woman. What do we do?
I spent a lot of time thinking about how to get out of the matrix. And I think we're coming at it from the wrong angle. I think that we are trying to get the systems that are built to keep us in hamster wheels. They are built to oppress, and we keep asking these systems to be something different.
Right.
I think what we have, asking for laws that protect whatever, trying to legislate. Who gives a fuck?
Right.
Let's create our own thing and make their systems obsolete, because they are not actually in control. And by they, I mean the reptilian parasites that control the world,
You're 100% right. I mean, we just need somebody to have an alternative to these things. The problem is with fucking any monopoly is that they own so much of everything.
Just a cat shitting.
There's a cat shitting in the litter box. I'm living in this house now that I fucking moved back into. I moved out of an apartment and then back into it because the woman who rents this to me she's a real high level con artist, which I have respect for. And she's conned me somehow into moving back in, and she told me the cats would be gone. And not only are the cats not gone, but they're like furrier. And they're like starting more problems than they were when I lived here last. And I moved out for a month because there were termites. I moved into a divorce. I moved into this house in West Hollywood, and the woman was like, okay, me and my husband are getting divorced, but he was still living here. So it was like I fucking was living with this dude she took his family to New York, and I'm just like in a house with some guy who's sad because he doesn't have a family anymore, and he's got to deal with me walking around like eating ice cream. He's like, what the fuck is this? Like, I didn't fucking, you want to talk about a midlife crisis? And then I realized she just moved me in to get this guy out. And it worked. After like 3 months, she's like, I got to get the fuck out of here. So then she calls me. She's like, well, he's gone. Why don't you just come back? And people don't understand that don't have cats. Like, I know Oscar's fun on Instagram and everything, but they're filthy animals. And they shit everywhere and they piss, and cat food smells bad. Yeah. People don't realize how bad cat food smells. And you just, all of the furniture in this house is covered with like towels, terry cloth towels.
They have like rubber bands at the bottom
so that the cats can scratch and piss and shit. I mean, why would you destroy a beautiful house like that for these two cats? And
well, obviously they love them a lot. That's why they abandoned them the
right.
same way they
to
abandoned
a stranger.
Her spouse.
Yeah, they just up and left. The cats are here. I'm here.
This cat shit smells so bad.
It's so bad. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell. It's disgusting. I mean, it's genuinely disgusting. I mean, she called me. I talked to her the other day and I went, she's like, somebody's going to clean the cat shit every other day. I'm like, that's not enough. You need to clean it after it's shit. And then I thought last night, I was in my bed. I woke up in the middle of the night and I went, should I kill the cats? Like, literally, I'm like, should I like drive them up to Mulholland Drive or Topanga Canyon and just dump them? And I don't want to kill animals, but like, they're ruining my life. She tried to give, by the way, the fat one that's on Instagram all the time, Oscar, she tried to give him away. And the lady that was going to take him is in heart failure now.
Is what?
Is in heart failure. The woman that was going to take Oscar. I mean, Oscar is a raccoon. Like, Oscar's already going to start a problem right now. He's jumping on Ben's MacBook. The cat's psychotic right now. The cat's trying to ruin. The cat's probably what got the Brendan Schaub episode taken down. I mean, the cat's it's a real problem. It's fat and it's ornery and it's disgusting, and it just wants to start an issue. I mean, I don't know. What do I do? Like, what do I do? Literally, Jessa, what do I do?
I mean, kill this one. Well, this shit is taking my breath away.
I know,
right
it's
now.
so disgusting.
The accommodations on this podcast cannot be.
I was gonna say, like, this woman sold this to me. It's like, oh, you'll have your own house in West Hollywood. It'll be so nice. And then it's like, it just smells like cat shit. I don't. Now, when she has a live-in maid here, the maid's job is to just clean everything every minute of every day. But it's still kind of gross. I was thinking of moving the litter box outside.
Yeah.
But then the cats can't shit in it, or they can't piss, so then I have to move the litter box in every night. There's no real way out other than saying to myself, eventually it's time to get a real apartment. I just, they're going to want two years of credit tax returns, 2 years of bank statements. It's going to be a whole problem. Are you employed? All these questions. Why did you buy a house for $700,000 in 2007 and snort it, blow it up your nose?
That's what we were all doing in 2007.
I always end up in the underground. I've been in the underground economy for a decade, which means I've just been living with other people. Yeah, come sit over here. I'm sorry.
Just gonna
cover it. Do you think that'll help? Jess is covering the litter box with one of the towels. I don't understand.
It was getting into my throat.
And by the way, look at the art. Could this woman have worse taste?
What is this thing?
They have word art in this house, which is like, it just says comfort and La Dolce Vita on their two, like, I don't even know they're two paintings, I guess, but they just have one word says comfort, one says La Dolce Vita. It's like the shit that you see in like Pier 1 Imports and like, the woman that owns this house is so funny that as much as hell is this house she's just so funny that I stay friends with her because I do really like her. And she's really, really funny. You know, she said one of the funniest things I've ever heard, and it was in 2019. We're having lunch, and she looked at me and very seriously, without a hint of irony, she said, "I feel horrible for Harvey Weinstein." And it was the funniest thing I had ever heard. I'd never heard anything funnier at the moment. She said about Jeffrey Epstein, she goes, "What's everybody's problems? He's got some strange proclivities. Enough. It was so funny. But that's what 20 years in LA is. You kind of go insane.
You do go insane, right?
You do go insane. I don't think you make it out of this city alive. You know what I mean? Like I when I look at people that have been here for a very long time, unless you have like the discipline of Rogan or something to really keep yourself, I don't think you make it out of here alive, man. I think it's a very interesting thing. I mean, what do you feel? What's the energy of Los Angeles to you?
Well, I think people move here because they're looking for external validation, right? They're seeking out careers that provide them with external validation. And then this place is such a caricature of itself. It just like breeds more of that, encourages that almost, you know?
Yeah.
And then you get to be in a bubble of that without any reality check. You know, you can like unironically take
Photos.
100 selfies of yourself in front of a pink wall and nobody, you know, there's just people there waiting for their turn. And, you know, out in the real world, you get reality also slapping you in the face, kind of pushing back against that.
Yeah, the reality here is all like, it's such a drastic difference. The reality here is like people living in tents under an overpass. There's no like mid-grade reality. It's either like the harshness of the world or it's people, guys, now they're starting a fight. Because what Oscar does is Oscar tries to fuck it and then the other one smacks the shit out of it. I mean, it really is a problem. Oscar's just trying to fuck and then this other cat smacks the shit out of him. And Oscar, you got denied again. But, you know, that's the thing in LA. It's like, oh, it's an Emmys party. And in order to drive there, you got to drive past like a post-apocalyptic scene of like a tent city. And you're like, I mean, this is crazy.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Sometimes I fantasize about living, you know, I don't know.
Glendale is different though. Like Glendale's just like normal people living a normal life. I'm so sheltered from.
Yeah, it's not. You're in a good spot. Ben's in a decent spot too, in Eagle Rock.
It's not that far away. Like you don't have to go that far to enter into reality again.
I know. That's true. The problem with those spots is that I think I need the insanity a little bit.
Oh, you absolutely thrive on.
Yeah, I thrive on crazy. I really like crazy. There's not like what Ben's area is very sweet. There's like a Target. You know what I mean? These are like human beings. Like I walk outside, there's like a woman in a Bentley screaming at her children about Pokey. There's 15-year-olds. There's 15-year-olds that can buy and sell me. They have huge YouTube channels. I mean, because I'm here. I live here, but do I? I'm on the road every weekend. I'm gone so much that when I come here, I get like a dose of crazy and then I just get back on the road. I fly out tomorrow night to Vermont. And then I'm in Vermont for the weekend. And then I'm home for a while. Then I'm home till December 5th.
Good.
And then we're going to find a place to do Thanksgiving.
That's going to be so fun.
Yeah, we're going to do we'll find a restaurant. And I'm sure we can find something. In terms of dietary restrictions, there'll be something you can eat.
Yeah.
Just turkey, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I can eat anything but gluten and dairy, so.
Yeah, so you can I'm buying a bunch of food when I get back from Vermont, and I'm really getting back on. I was on such a great diet, and I've just been,
how's keto been?
Well, as I said to Joe earlier, there's been issues. New York is very, very bad. It's a very unhealthy place. Not mentally. LA's unhealthy mentally. New York is unhealthy physically. Like you walk by pizzerias and delis and everybody's shaking a carbohydrate in your face at 3 a.m. And, I'm weak and I do bad things. I have a slice of buffalo chicken pizza, or I have a little bowl of pasta, or I have an ice cream or something, and it's like, oh, this is not good. You know,
the road is hard. New York, I can handle.
Yeah, New York. I use an excuse. The road is difficult.
In the Midwest and shit, it's straight up impossible.
I mean, the keto thing is obviously it's like high fat, high protein, no grains, and no fruit and no vegetables. Like keto is very intense. And the problem is I actually had a raspberry and I didn't even realize that raspberries really aren't keto. Blueberries are. And the bigger problem with the raspberries is that it was in 7 pancakes. So it was just such a mistake. I didn't really know, but we'll have a good Thanksgiving. We're going to go around the table and say what we're thankful for, like psychopaths.
No, I cannot wait to sit at Thanksgiving and go over my bullet pointed plot to overthrow the government.
I want to hear that.
Yeah, it's going to be very exciting with my mom there and my kids.
Oh, it's going to be great. I'll do an Epstein Thanksgiving little update, just wherever we are in the case. I'm like, listen, guys, they just charged did you hear that? They just charged the prison guards today with conspiracy. I mean, this is how funny this thing has become. They're charging the guards.
So how long till they're dead? How long till they commit suicide?
The guards are either going to be dead or they're either going to, nobody's interested in getting the truth here. So the reality is it would be nice if we could get some closure, but nobody's going to be like, oh yeah, the presidents and prime ministers and all these people, they're fucking kids. And this is a guy that was running it and now he's dead and they killed him. Like, that's not going to happen. So I don't know what the fuck's going to happen with these guards, but no, it's going to stop before it gets bad. Just like that's why they killed Epstein. It's like, it's going to stop before bold-faced names are on the cover of the paper. At least I think,
Yeah.
I mean, they're just going to shut it down before it really goes to that next level, The
illusion is so shattered because of how flagrant it is now, because it's so obvious, like 20 years ago, I sounded insane when I was like, the reality that you're being presented is not real. And the government is doing a bunch of shit behind closed doors and they're killing people that get in their way and whatever. That sounded insane. And everybody had this like false belief in some kind of justice. I think because that was pumped into all of our movies, that if you could just get one member of the press who wanted to find the truth, they made us like that the press was like out for truth or something and not bought by the people who were putting ads on their shit. We really believed it. Like collectively, people really believed in this fucking justice or whatever. And I feel like over the course of the last few years, that illusion has really been shattered, and now they're kind of flaunting it.
Yeah, now they're almost leaning in. They're like, so what? Yeah, we killed him, bitch. So what? Donald Trump's the president. What are you going to do?
Yeah, there's nothing.
No one cares.
There's nothing that you can do.
Nothing matters, And like you said, you got to create the alternative. And it's just so hard to think about what the alternative could be. But you have to create the alternative because these systems are designed to keep fucking us. People are like, well, the FBI is looking into the Epstein. It's like, the FBI? Are you crazy? Well, the FBI will straighten it out. What?
God, who was I? Was that you that I was just talking to about Epstein? And no, who was that? Somebody was like, well, what if he just told? Was that you? Yeah. And like everyone's in on it.
Everyone's in on it.
Everyone has something to lose.
Destruction. People are completely owned. They're being blackmailed. They are owned financially. Their kids are going to schools that cost $50,000, $60,000 a year. Their status, their friends, they're a member of the country club, their entire existence, socially, financially, it all depends on them continuing to play the game. And what people don't realize is how total, it's not what people call conspiracies or with people. It really is just the way the system is designed to work, and it works well. It works very well because people that go outside of it and try to expose it are marginalized, bankrupted, and killed.
That's the stuff where I think we can't fight. We can't fight them on their own turf.
Yes.
You have to break people out. And like,
Agreed.
obviously from a insane perspective, I believe that they are parasites and that we create reality and that they trick us into creating reality. But all
you're
that,
not wrong. None of that's wrong.
right. So all that aside, paying attention to them and trying to get them to be something other than parasites doesn't work, but rather just unplugging. Like, this is what I spend all my time thinking about now. I'm like, what if I could get a Patreon and make enough money on the Patreon creating content to where I could just start like pulling people out of the matrix, right?
Yeah, you had a great idea about schools and about go into that. That was fucking great.
A few things. Number one, the medical industrial complex. Do you know how many 25-year-olds are working jobs that they hate? And when I'm like, well, why are you working? The greatest deception of all times was tricking people into believing that life is about survival. That is
right.
The objective of your life is to try to survive. It's fucking brilliant. It's like if you told someone from birth, you will fall through the floor. They'll live their entire life trying not to fall through the floor.
Right.
When you tell people that your entire life is about survival, now it's about medical coverage. You need medical coverage.
Right.
25-year-olds
So
are
true.
like, I'm working this job because I need insurance. And I'm like, oh, okay, what kind of, you got fucking diabetes type 1? Like, what kind of chronic disease do you have that at 25-year-old, you're working a job that you hate? You're spending the majority of your life working a job that you hate. And they're like, nothing, but something bad could happen. And I'm like, well, let me introduce you to my friend bankruptcy.
Yeah, and also,
okay?
by the way, if something bad happens, insurance doesn't cover it.
It doesn't cover it. It's the biggest.
Fake. It
it's
doesn't
the biggest
cover it.
piece of shit. And they're like, well, I'm on SSRIs. And I'm like, okay, how much is your time worth? How much is your life worth? First of all, maybe you wouldn't have to be on those SSRIs if you weren't working a job you fucking hate with lighting that's fucking bad for you.
Right.
But there's an app called GoodRx where you can get most prescriptions for cheap. I haven't had insurance. I had insurance for 2 years. I got a couple surgeries in 2 years that I didn't need. Other than that, I pay cash for everything. And I go to like, you just get to go without insurance. You get to go straight to the doctor and say, I want to be tested for this. And they just have to do it. If I had insurance, I'd have to spend fucking 6 months trying to get approved. Then the insurance company doesn't even pay the shit. You have to fight them forever. What a fucking hamster wheel. Telling an entire generation that they have to go to college for no fucking reason.
There was a comedian, Keith Anthony from Long Island, who had a great joke. He goes, I don't have health insurance, but I have car insurance. So if I hurt myself, I got to get in my car and drive it into a thing so that someone will cover it, you know?
This was something that, I have a 25-year-old, and when she was graduating high school, I was like, she's not going to college. And I had to fight with like my parents and shit. They were like, everyone needs to go to college. And I'm like, this is
that's the biggest lie.
Propaganda.
And that's it. That's it, bankrupted an entire generation of people. It's the biggest lie. The same lie is like, well, everyone needs to own a house. And then here's the fake loan to own the house.
Yep.
Everyone needs to go to college and take out the $100,000 worth of loans to get a degree that no one cares about.
Yep. And then now it's like, oh yeah, so everybody got scammed by these student loans. So another thing that I'm probably going to get in trouble for talking about on podcast, but this is a Patreon episode. Bankruptcy is something when Trump, like people talk about Trump like he's an idiot because he filed bankruptcy. And I'm like, no. He understands how the system works. Go spend a day in bankruptcy court and watch every single person there. They're like, have you filed bankruptcy before? And they're like, yep, 2009. You know why? Because they understand how the system works. Run those fucking credit cards up. Make sure your car loan is somewhat current and file fucking bankruptcy. Fuck the banks. Fuck the banks. And then you can't file bankruptcy on your student loans, right? Go get a loan, pay off your student loans with a credit card loan, and then file bankruptcy.
It is funny how people are, the cat is sneezing, Oscar's out of his mind. It is funny how people, Trump's filed bankruptcy all these times. Yeah, but you're exactly right. He knows exactly how to evade the type of repercussions that normal people get stuck with and then pay the price for their entire life.
They talk to you like it's going to ruin your life. This is my second time filing bankruptcy, and I didn't want to do it this time. I needed to do it to get free from an ex, but I had done it when I was like 19 because I didn't understand how money worked. But while I'm at bankruptcy court, and I am kind of bummed at this point that I'm filing bankruptcy, I'm like, it's making so much sense to me. My credit score went up. I had great credit and everything was still current when I filed bankruptcy. But I had a lot of debt. My credit score went up. I am already getting credit card offers. And by the time the lease on my car, because you get to keep your car, by the way, by the time my lease on my car is done, I have perfect credit again. And if you want to rent a place to live, you just tell them, I had medical bills or whatever. Anyway, fuck the banks, file bankruptcy. That's life hack number one. I'm sure
hack number one.
Some of these aren't very research. I tend to have my
I like
little
it
unconventional. Number two, I'm trying to figure out a way to get people out of this medical industrial complex bullshit. Like just living your entire life. It's insane. You're living your entire life to pay for insurance in case something happens to you. It's like society was trained to be worker bees, and they think of these things as virtues. Like this is a virtue that I'm being responsible.
It's crazy, and it's also people are so ignorant of the fact that actually, and I talked to Nick Mullen about this, you actually don't get any, like you're not covered. You pay out the ass, and if something happens, the copays are so high, a lot of times you'd be better off just fucking paying cash.
Absolutely. There's also a program for everything. Like I had to get a colonoscopy at one point. And, I don't know what they cost if you have insurance, some insane amount, but I got one for $900 because there's a program for uninsured everything.
My friend's mother was a high-end hooker in the 70s and 80s. She's a good friend of ours. And my best friend growing up, her mother was this hooker and call girl. I don't want to say hooker, whatever. Professional woman. And she took all of her money, all of her cash, and she invested it in the stock market. Didn't tell anyone. She was poor on paper. She got every benefit from the government. She got, Child Health Plus and everything she needed for her kids. But she owned a share of Berkshire Hathaway, which is Warren Buffett's stock. And I think it was at that time it was like $180,000 a share. So she had this like blue chip stock portfolio, and she hid all her money in stocks and nobody was able to find it. And she just said, yeah, I'm broke, I'm poor. And she drove a Saturn and she pretended to be a maid. And she was a maid and she made cash, as a maid. But she's like, yeah, I drive a Saturn and I walk around with rags and people think I'm homeless and I just clean people's houses and I have hundreds of thousands of dollars in the market that nobody knows about. And she goes, and none of that's illegal.
Yeah.
She's like, none of it's illegal.
That's how the system works. And it is, it's designed to oppress, and we keep asking it to be fair, and it's never going to be fair. So we just have to create our own systems. None of this is like universal truth. None of this has to exist. This is just something we willingly submit to. So it's all, it's all pretty fuzzy in my head, but I'm spending a lot of time thinking about.
I like it. I like the way you're thinking. I like the way you told me the other day. You said people, when they're totally fucked, can't find the way out. But if you find a way to alleviate that pressure, even for 6 months, people can really start to see a new reality. But it's just unfortunate that most people, like you said, never even get that chance. So you were saying if there was a way to give people a chance to just get their head above water.
Yeah. So a couple of ideas. One idea I've had since I was 23, something called the Imagination Project, where we just buy up warehouses and build a bunch of artist lofts. And then we give like year-long scholarships. You can just live in this artist loft, learn your art, figure out what it is that makes your heart sing, what it is that you want to do, what it is that you want to bring to the collective, and you're taken care of during that time.
Right.
And then the other thing is like you can, this kind of goes along with like, jumping timelines, which I believe is a thing that you can do. And I don't like The Secret or dumb manifestation stuff.
Right.
Is mostly bullshit, but I do believe there are ways to like hop onto more favorable timelines. But they depend on your ability to like you can't be coming from a place of desperation or intense need. So it's the old, I could teach a person to fish, but you can't teach a starving person to fish. You have to like relieve the pressure. So I think that I can pull off coordinating with other people who are like-minded. What if we could just figure out a way to hack into a lot of money and then take that money and just start breaking people out? Just like, boom, your bills are paid for a year. Here's how you hop timelines.
Yeah, and would some of that involve you just going to people that have a lot of money and going, invest this or...
There are some people that have money that are interested. There are some people who are like deeply entrenched in what I would call like 3D stuff that want to know how to get involved. I don't know. There are comedians with Patreons making $50,000 a month. I don't need $50,000 a month. I could fuck a lot of people's debt up with $50,000 a month though. Like I could, make a dent, and then it's like here, and then here's how you hop timelines.
I just want to say to everyone on my Patreon, please donate, because I do need $50,000 a month. I need $250,000 a month. I like all these ideas. They're radical ideas. They're good ideas. I think the shit about working jobs that you hate just for insurance is such a good point, because so many people do that. And then insurance in general is just kind of a scam. It doesn't help you.
Hamster wheels,
huge.
man.
It's a hamster wheel. It just really is. That's what it is. You just got to find a way to break out of that. And it's fucking very difficult. And I'm wondering right now, necessity breeds innovation. So I'm wondering right now, what's going to happen? When YouTube becomes ABC, NBC, and CBS, which is fucking kind of happening. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss type of thing. What's the next thing? How do we get out? And that's as creators and as people that are putting out shit and content all the time, we're going to have to figure that out, because the internet's about to be carved up and sold off. And I think a lot of us are going to get fucked in the process.
I think, and this gets a little more into my woo shit, but I think we're in a showdown for the next couple of years, and I think we win.
I hope so.
And I think what we're seeing right now is them trying to like batten down the hatches and trying to vie for control. I really don't think there's a scenario in which they're not built to dominate technology. That's why it was the wild, wild west for so long. I think we probably end up moving to stuff that isn't as convenient as something like YouTube, but it's one of these things where it's not too difficult to stay a couple steps ahead. For now, at least, I do think, they're trying to figure out how to control the bandwidth itself. And
yeah, they're probably trying to figure out how to control everything. The next thing will be podcasts. They just don't, none of this is in their plan. People having freedom and power and people being awake is not in their plan, and they're going to try to figure out how to shut that down, but we just have to keep figuring out how to keep it. The same way that people figured out YouTube, they figured out podcasting. We just got to figure out new systems that are maybe even smaller. Everybody, YouTube is so big, and Apple Podcast, these monster machines, these monster platforms that are billion-dollar companies, maybe staying smaller, more local, everybody having their own website, everybody hosting their own shit. I don't know what the future is going to be, but it might not be these billion-dollar conglomerates.
No, I definitely think it's taking our stuff to its own place, which is just annoying.
Yeah.
But everything is getting less and less mainstream. And I feel like you and I are on the same wavelength. Yeah. I can't believe how many comics are still trying to get a late night spot or pitch a TV show.
They're mentally ill.
And it's like, this is how do you not smell the rotting corpse here? It is dead. Make your own shit. There are no gatekeepers, which is what resonates with me. And when I was out trying to sell a show, I was like, oh, wait a second. You're going to be my boss. You're going to take my art that I like, I made one comedy special. They moved the jokes. That was so insane to me. I was like, wait, you can take my perfectly curated set, perfectly curated by my standards, and move the jokes around. It's usually like 15 minutes of very dark material. And then I say, so I'm a mom, which is
the funny part.
Right?
Yeah.
They cut that and put that in the back so that I walk out onto the stage and open with, so I'm a mom.
Ugh.
I didn't have a gun to put in my mouth when I saw that, but yeah, I was just like, oh, well, this isn't going to work for me. First, I have to get up early in the morning and come here, and you're my boss. Like, I didn't become an artist so that I could have bosses. I don't want that. I want to make my own shit. I'll build my own fan base, meet up with an animator who's a fan, and we'll create the shit and put it on YouTube. I'm making a comedy special right now that I just want to put, I guess not on YouTube, I guess on my own website at this rate. But
well, who knows? I mean, I'm not trying to nag YouTube. I mean, I will say this.
This is definitely getting taken down. Oh no, wait, we're on Patreon.
I mean, I will say this, man. I just, I hate sounding paranoid all the time. And then I also hate being right about what I'm paranoid about. I hate calling out that we're going to get fucked. And then the next week we get fucked. And then some part of me, the real conspiracy theorist to me, is like, what's happening here? I mean, like, Ben got the email. Ben told me, Ben goes, we're going to get fucked because YouTube is changing all of these things. And, they can delete your channel now. They can do all this stuff. And then we just got the first podcast episode deleted. And we go, oh, this is just that's why I'm like, I don't want to wait 6 months or a year to figure out what the alternative is. I don't want to build a channel with 250,000 subscribers and then have them tell me to fuck off. I want to keep building the YouTube because I have an interest in building the YouTube, but I also want to think about, what does my own website look like? What is a website where I host a podcast and I host the videos and I host everything? What does that look like? I'm
curious what, like, not to compare you to Alex Jones, but just as someone who got deplatformed from YouTube, and the ghost of Christmas future for you.
I'm trying to go down and do Infowars in December, and me and him are going to wear Santa hats and sing Happy Holidays. This is the goal. This is the goal. I don't know if this is going to happen, but I'm putting it out into the universe. You're a big fan of that.
I've always wondered what I'm going to get canceled for, and it's definitely going to be being your friend.
Friendship. You know what you're going to be canceled for.
I'm so not controversial at all, but this is.
I can't believe you haven't been canceled already. So what were you saying about Alex?
I'm curious what his numbers were.
Ben, you gotta.
Once he moved to his own thing.
Hold on. I'm going to get rid of this cat right now. I mean, people don't understand. People don't understand that cat is a terrorist. It knows we're doing something on this, and it wants to fuck it up. It keeps jumping on the MacBook. The cat knows there's no food up there. It's not a soft place. It knows it's integral to what we're doing, and it keeps trying to ruin it. I mean, it's crazy. Now it'll just sleep in the sink, and it'll be fine. What was your question about Alex?
I wonder what his numbers were once he moved to doing his own.
Ben knows more about this than anyone. Fill us in a little bit here because Ben kind of watched this happen. Ben watched this whole thing happen with Alex, and we watched this very closely, which is why even if you disagree with somebody, you can't ever argue that they're going to be deplatformed because it'll never stop with the person that you disagree with. And it's always going to come back around to bite you, which is why I've never argued that anyone should be deplatformed, as abhorrent as anything that they've said is. So, Ben, talk a little bit about that because you watched that as close as anyone.
So, Alex, this was back in August of 2018. He had about 2.5 million subscribers on YouTube.
Wow.
Channel gets taken down. He went to, what was that thing he did with Marco Rubio? He kind of was egging them on a little bit. That didn't help. And then he started just kind of going crazy on there. And then he got taken off of Spotify. He got taken off of Apple Podcasts. He got taken off of Facebook. Everything was taken off, which is crazy. And furthermore, his Twitter and his bank accounts, which I didn't realize at the time, they'll just take your bank account away. They'll just say your money's no good here. So he basically got wiped, and his website does not work very well. There's always attacks on it and everything. So.
Thanks, Ben. What Ben did there is basically just restate common knowledge, and I always appreciate that. Bring nothing specific to the table. Thank you. Oh, did it have to do with Sandy Hook? Thanks for the... I just watched Jamie Vernon produce a show for 3 hours, and it's like such a breath of fresh air when you watch Jamie do something. I mean, Ben just restates things that everyone... no one knows, Ben.
Yeah.
Thanks for the specifics, buddy. Thanks for the well-researched specifics. I mean, this guy, if I didn't love him to death, God. But yeah, the channel had hundreds of millions of views. And they got rid of it. And now his website's constantly being attacked, DDoS attacks or whatever it is. And they went after his bank accounts. They said he's using his money for bad things or whatever. And so they'll wipe you. And wait till we head to this cashless society. Wait till we head where nobody has any cash and they can just, with the swipe of a mouse, take your life away, which they can kind of do already. Wait till we get to a point where they start wanting to put medical chips in your body.
Have I talked about that to you?
No, but go into it because it's coming and they're going to just start deactivating us.
I did talk about the CIA. I thought the CIA was who was teaching everybody that I knew how to do
mail fraud.
Yeah, don't put this on a sizzle reel on your Instagram.
It's not.
But these guys showed up, I'm early aughts.
Ben, save the timestamp for the sizzle. Kidding.
Early 9/11, right after 9/11, I hung out with a group of people who weren't old school tweakers. They were club kids that got hooked on meth, smart, college educated, whatever. And these dudes just show up and they have the DMV files and they're teaching everyone how to do check fraud and everything. And I remember being these guys, I'm already awake, right? And so I'm these guys don't feel like our people. They don't smoke meth, and they gave us everything, not us, but they gave everybody everything to steal identities.
Interesting.
And I was like, what's the angle here? And then nobody was I guess there weren't laws in place for what was happening because it was a new crime
this
at the
shit
time.
They do, man. The government does shit all the time. They work with the criminal element and they learn, they try to learn, what's going on. They experiment on people. They watch people run a certain, criminal algorithm. Mm-hmm. This is what happens all the time.
They kept letting them all out of jail like crazy. And that could be, like I said, because there weren't laws in place for what was happening because it was a new way of doing things. But shortly after that, a company called I guess it was just VeriChip, had produced a chip that went in your hand or forehead, weirdly enough, if you didn't have a right hand, that would hold all of your, I think, medical and financial information. And it became really obvious to me at that point, of course, because people are never going to let you put a chip inside of them unless it's their idea. And how would you get it to be their idea unless you allowed them to be financially raped and pillaged by, quote unquote, the criminal element?
Interesting.
So you hand all of these things to the criminal element. Why did we have the DMV files?
Yeah.
And then sit back and wait for people to be they're taking all of my identity. Can't you put this somewhere that they can't get to it?
Yeah.
So then VeriChip buys up.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Then VeriChip buys up all of the retail software. I want to say in 2003 or 2004. They already had a product called, my memory's bad, I've done a lot of drugs, but I think it was something called Digital Angel where they were chipping prisoners. And in 2000, where was I living? I want to say 2003, they had an RV in Florida and they were starting to chip people as part of a beta testing. And they had bought up all of the retail software. So to this day, I was in a cab in New York and VeriSign, I think, is the company.
Yeah, that's
where you do that. That is the company that had the chips. And, my understanding is that the chips would change the way that you think. It would have an effect on your thoughts.
I'm very, very apprehensive about any chip technology. I know it's coming. Elon Musk has done a lot of work. DARPA has done a lot of work with Neuralink, which is the company which is brain interfaces where they're basically... they want you to be able to order prisoner, they want people in war to be able to order drone strikes with their minds. Literally they want people to be able to just kind of control weapon systems directly with their mind. This is why they're working on all this stuff. And all of this stuff eventually becomes, a lot of the technology that we have starts as military use, 10, 20 years ago. the internet, and then it becomes a public commodity years later. So the things that they're working on in DARPA right now, a lot of it are brain body interface systems where your brain, can basically order or, run a system by, and I mean, I'm not nearly smart enough to explain how this happens, but you don't necessarily have to like press a button with your finger. You can just order something using thoughts or something. I mean, it's really wild. And so this whole thing, it really leads to us merging with machines. It leads to these phones that we carry around in our hands going inside of us, or us going inside of them. Or, I mean, it really does go there.
I have a lot of thoughts about that because obviously I believe that we are in the process of downloading higher dimensional reality.
Yeah.
And I have spent a lot of times, I guess we've been doing this long enough to go off the rails. I've spent a lot of time in dreams with higher dimensional beings and learned a lot of these processes. And we're very close to it because I keep having the instinct to reach out and like for my phone to come to my hand.
Right.
I could tell you in my body the physical sensation of lifting myself off the ground. I don't think we're far from telekinesis or levitating or any of that. I think those are very easy things to do in higher dimensional reality. And we are, to me, it seems very obviously climbing into higher dimensional reality. Things like DMT and psychedelics and everything else are here to help do that. But then sometimes I wonder, and things that I know to be true, like that you and I are not going to die. Like we are not far from not aging,
Right.
We're going to hack aging. But then part of me is like, is all of that just going to be a mechanism of technology though? Is it going to be that we're not going to die because we're close to being able to download our consciousness into a perfect
potentially,
body?
Yeah. Potentially the next phase is uploading the consciousness somewhere.
And I guess that's not bad, right? Because that's just the next evolution of consciousness. Like we are not our rotting bodies. We are the consciousness inside
it'll
of
be
it.
interesting to see what happens, man. I mean, that's terrifying stuff. I don't know how long have we done, Ben? 47 minutes. Yeah, we're going to wrap this. It's so interesting because that leads you just down the rabbit hole of where the fuck do we go? And the answer really is, I think that we're going to have to, Elon Musk and all these people have been like, if we do not fuse with artificial intelligence, they will defeat us and colonize us. So the next evolution might be,
Yeah. I mean, I think that's already happened to us. We have this sensation like if we move into the future and merge with technology, we're not going to be free.
Like
but
politics
we're not free.
seems old.
Yeah.
People don't understand. Politics seems old. Political solutions seem old. Watching candidates debate issues on a stage dressed in blue suits, it all seems old. None of them seem like they have any solutions. The solutions all seem to be coming from technology. All of the things that have made your life easier or better have been in the realm of technology. Political solutions stopped working, I don't know, 40 years ago. I don't know when they stopped working.
Yeah.
But really, a lot of them haven't. Even everything you want to talk about, every progressive thing that's happened has been because people have built grassroots campaigns with technology. So I just wonder if I'm watching all these elections. I'm like, God, this is fucking archaic. It's just an archaic system to have these 10 goons on a stage talk to each other. And then we find these clips and they're like, no, but this guy said Oriental. Can't say that. It's so fucking old. It's like we have fucking machine. I just think it's so funny that we're living in this time when those things seem so fucking dated.
Yeah.
It seems dated to watch people debate. We all know they're lying. We know that they're going to get to Washington and sell us out. We know that the system is irreparably broken. And we know that the only things that are really going to help are probably new advancements in medicine, science, technology, and those are the things that are going to help people get food and water and employment and healthcare. And these fucking old dinosaurs in suits are not really going to help that at all.
This karmic reality is ending. And it's really interesting to watch it kind of just loop on itself because
Yeah.
it's like, you're dead. It's over. Every time I log on to Facebook talking about dead and over, it's a new TV show from when we were kids is being rebooted with the same cast.
So true.
To where
Mad About
it's
You.
almost a joke.
Yeah, Mad About You sucked when they made it. It's like, what?
Mad About You, fucking Frasier.
Yeah, Frasier was good, but go on.
Yeah, but like they're bringing all these shows back because there literally is nothing left in this reality. This
Yeah.
reality has
Yes.
been done. This right, wrong, good, bad, light, dark, male, female, this dichotomy-based, fear-based reality has been played. And now it's just going to loop on itself. And it's like, if you want to go experience what life has to offer now, you have to unplug and go move on. And you can't unplug as long as you're asking this loop to be something other than this oppressive
the ride
loop.
is over.
Yeah.
Get a new ride.
Yeah.
Leave the theme park.
Create it for yourself. Believe your own experience. Stop looking outside of yourself for validation. Stop looking for reality and people to tell you where to be, what to do, and go just make it for yourself.
And buy tickets to my live shows. And that's the way to do it. Tim J. Dillon, Dillon on Instagram and Twitter. Rogan episode will be out Friday. Jessa Reed, tell them where to find you.
If you want a reading, it's jessareed.com. Doing readings for Tim Dillon fans is the funnest. Jessa Reed Comedy at Twitter and Instagram. Soberish Pod if you want to hear this woo bullshit. And Mormon and the Meth Head if you want to hear me like cry mental health stuff.
And we do. Thank you, sweetie. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. Everybody shut the fuck up that the episode was late.